Peace, 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 greetings, 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 greetings. Oh man. Let's give honor to the source of the creator, the most high, for making all of this possible. Man. Them clarity moments, self-realizations. It's so wild. Let's give honor to the ancestors, known and unknown. I think I got a message. Anywho, let me proceed with what I'm doing. Dang, bro. This healing journey reveals so much. When you breaking generational like cycles or curses and shit, it's like should have you realizing like how fucked up your actions, your core values, what you grew up in, who you learned from, and be so masked and so like water that's diluted or like tainted. Like real raw shit. Like I'm sitting here like I don't know what it is to be a man. Not just a man. I'm just now learning what it is to be healthy for me. This is why I talk about this inner child shit so much. I don't even know what to cover first. Like, just knowing like how it's so forced upon us to think and be like our mothers or fathers or great grandma and so forth, and then them not really having an issue with a lot of shit that they normalized. Then when you're not willing to face the wounds within yourself and acknowledge like how fucked up your ways are and or taking accountability, nothing will change. Nothing. You know how much what clarity has done for me? It really helped me realize like what type of shit I've been in. What type of bullshit. What type of shit you let, like shit you don't even realize you be in sometimes until you be like, what? This guy said, well, how did he break that down about a narcissist? He said most narcissists have to have someone codependent in it. Man, what the fuck, bro? That shit blew my mind. Because then you start to recognize your patterns, who you were with, childhood experiences, so many different things. Like, oh my gosh, when I say the collapse of narcissistic templates, foundations. Oh my gosh, bro. That shit got me, it really brings up the fact of inaccountability. You can develop a mindset, a belief that, especially if you grew up with a mother and father that was, emotionally unavailable, but was verbally abusive, and everything they did was so right and nothing was wrong, man, that'll have your ass in relationships reflecting that, believing that, and that's something I had to come to the self-realization about on a lot of stuff with people. Knowing that I was a gentle person, knowing that I was great, and it ain't just about putting all this on me, like trying to paint this picture. Because let me tell you something, that self-realization, that clarity, have you realizing how fucked up your ways are, like how let me see what I do with this lighting. That should have had your ass really like sitting back and having your ass build some shit on a whole false foundation that doesn't reflect integrity and truth. This is why I realize, man, this goes for, you know, people with children and so forth. It's just like a reality check when you realize, like, grandma, mama, and them stayed and shit. They were codependent. Man, this is like a confession moment. I really don't even care if I don't even care if I upload this. It's more so like there's so many. I know I'm supposed to share these messages because it's a clearing that's happening emotionally, mentally, and so forth. Because with having a son, it's gonna be so vital that he sees a healthy man. Like I said, I don't did some shit. It's not so much as failing as a parent. It's so much accepting that you have, but that's how you begin something anew. That's how you rebuild something where you realize, like, it's okay to accept accountability. And that doesn't mean like the journey is over. It's the accountability and realizing, like, damn, my mother or father never said they failed, you know, in trying to be a parent or trying to be a guardian. And that's why I'm sitting here like, yo, we develop these learned behavior patterns and so forth, and literally you sit back and watch due to like core values that we obtain due to so many things, and literally just like think that, you know, this individual, this person has a suffer, or I'm okay with suffering. I'm okay with that, and knowing that deep down I'm not. I don't know why this lightning I didn't keep doing that. That kind of changes it. But anywho, yo, this shit wild, bro. I ain't even gonna hold you. A lot of this shit, like, when you start to realize, like, I'll be honest with you, one of my I think I spoke about this before, like learning my mother wound and learning a lot of things, the importance of like financial literacy, the importance of stability, a lot of shit a lot of men go through right now. Like, one of the biggest things I'm learning is sexual discipline. Man, this shit right. Man. Especially when you want to build something with someone. Because sometimes, like, in codependency things, it's just like I realized, like, how I even approach and what I led with in relationships. Now reflecting, realizing what other women led with. You know, a lot of these things that are so distracting, you realize these are people's core values. This is what they value. Even though they'll never tell you, their mouth may say something completely different, but this is what they value. Having nobody teach you how to leave a connection. When you know that, because again, their belief system is to stay in some shit because of survival instinct. But never having, when you haven't seen shit healthy and you realize how much this shit, especially when it comes to single mothers, when it comes to looking at the facts, when it comes to like really researching and learning about the importance, and again, it's not about pointing the finger out and saying like who's horrible, who's this. It's what affects the children in the long run. Especially when you never had guidance and support on how to even choose a partner or a healthy man. Some of us, again, told one thing, but we seen another. Man, you realize like some of your learned behavior patterns are fucked up, and realizing how it has led you down the paths where you are when you have to sit with yourself, man. Whew. It's like going back to the drawing board. Dang. Woo. Oh my gosh. And it's like sometimes, where do you even start? Where do you even begin? That's like one of the greatest challenges. I'm starting to realize, like, and I share these messages because I know it's not a lot of men out there really. Oh, I know what I should have done. It's basically not a lot of men out there with this message, like, to realize, like, to really hold each other accountable, but realize, like, I'm experiencing something, I'm going through something that I realize that it's going to touch millions, if not billions of people, especially when a lot of men come to this self-realization of what they've been in. Like, when I be telling y'all about the mother wound and realizing, like, how some of these, man, it's real. How some of these women, like our mothers and shit, motherfuckers don't want to hold these people accountable. I am, bro. Ain't no more pulling the wool over like I am, because it's that important. It's that important when you see the effects of, shout out to Love Dorsey. When you see the effects of how this shit was so orchestrated when it comes to single mothers, man. And that's in all cultures and creeds, but especially, like, y'all don't realize the importance of removing the father. How, again, the lens from a man growing up, not having no fucking example, falling flat on your face, and then you get to an age where you realize, like, oh shit, what have I been doing? And it's not to say I haven't been building towards things, because this is what I'm doing. I love it. At the same moment, you know, you sometimes you can question, like, am I doing enough? But from my experience, like I said, going back to the single mother thing, like, bro, y'all don't realize how that shit is so orchestrated to where we're healing if you can say, like, not so much healing in reverse, but healing this shit that has happened so much to our mothers being so burnt out, then them not really knowing how, them being in a position of being overly masculine, which leads to young boys who are develop this mother wound because they don't have an emotionally available mother. You know, growing up around women most of their life, yo, I say these messages because I went through that shit. Anytime I objected and tried to stand in my masculinity, especially towards women I knew that were fucked up, knew mentally, like seeing my mother go through cycles of men, this repetitive behavior, again, from my lens, I saw that. So to me, I will see that, soak that in, and unconsciously live that shit out until I recognize consciously the pattern of, like, we still learn the shit from women. We still learn that shit from our mothers. And where there is no balance, this is not everyone, where there's no balance, where a man is there to structure, especially a healthy man, especially a man who is emotionally available for himself and then everybody else. In all honesty, like, a lot of those things I'm later developing in this, like, blossoming of my life, I call it a late bloomer. I realize how, in not knowing how to show up for myself emotionally, or that connection to not having someone showing me or seeing a man nurture my mother, or nurture a woman, see a woman nurtured from a man's perspective, or see a woman be, nurtured, see that reciprocity. I can try to perform all I want to in certain connections, but that shit is still gonna come up. Y'all see where I'm getting at? How it's so easy to create a broken home from that, because you never saw something stable. Shit was always seemed like it was broken or unstable. I don't come in this shit to act like I'm bro. Not at all. Not at all. I'm a cycle breaker. I'm a generational curse breaker, and knowing that what the fuck has really been going on. In my inability to know how to process my emotions and being around those women, I was around men too, but I'm so grateful that I did not take that fucking route. Y'all not hearing me. I got some cookies in the oven, but y'all not hearing me. It's like I'm telling myself, like, I had to get to this place, like, real raw shit, and be like, bro, I have to have my own shit, my own place, my own house. I have to have that. I didn't see a lot of men with that. Or kept it together, or knew the importance of keeping people out, protecting their peace. And it's more than just having a home. It's, again, my experience is completely different. It's the fact of the learned behavior pattern I had. I was trying to be the mediator and the peacemaker for my mama and her relationships and everybody else. You know, everybody calling me because I knew in this, what I was enabling was what I know now to be enmeshment, or like seeing the women who, you know, I was that scapegoat almost, like, for if there was no other man around that they could project whatever they unhealed shit is or whatever they couldn't go through. You know, I realized now I was up under my mother so much. Even though she wasn't there as much as I would have liked her to be, I start to realize, like, a lot of these things will have you reenacting this shit in relationships. Where you don't want to outgrow your circumstance, where you become comfortable, where you don't want to step into that version of manhood. That doesn't mean that childhood leaves you, but you don't want to step into that version of manhood. Now, I choose to do things completely different, but I had to be very authentic with myself. In that growing up where there was no balance, I knew how to, it's so fucking crazy. I knew how to consistently make sure shit was in balance. There was things where I learned now more that in my grounded approach and me recreating the aspect of emotional safety, which is like the home within myself, I realized, like, that's what I was trying to strive for, even in seeking in my relationships. Like, anywhere but reminding me of that childhood, or that anywhere but being around my mama, you know, because a lot of people don't get there, especially a lot of darker men, especially like, oh, that's mama, you know, she can do whatever she wants, but that's still my mama. Man, I know some guys right now, bro, they'll let their mother do any and everything, get away with anything, and never speak up, or, you know, and then her rebuttal will be so much disrespect. Let me tell you, I ain't going for that. I don't care, mama, I don't care who it is. That's what been one of the biggest lessons of how I had to cut off so much of the unhealthy women in my family, to be able to recognize what a healthy woman looks like. It ain't even just that. It's just the fact of, I assume, gotta keep looking at me. I assume, because I'm telling belief systems and core value and what you grew up in will have your mind, your psyche believing all women fucked up. Now here I am, trust issues, you know, with that. Now you just thinking like, oh, you in the connection, everything cool. You can have children with a woman, all this shit. Whole time you think you escaping something. Your daughter come, you know, you have kids, your kids coming all like this. You still got core values. You still got unresolved. Here I am still, you know, learning through shit that was unresolved. Then you don't even really know who you meet, depending on how you connected with someone, you get in a relationship with someone. You don't know nothing about them. You don't know nothing about how they communicate with themselves. Are they healthy for themselves? Y'all don't realize what we are coming out of and learning how to go more into ourselves. Man, this shit, I'm telling you, that mother wound, or just the fact that when you break in cycles and shit, I'm telling you, to those people, when you break in cycles, it'll seem like you the worst motherfucker and you nigga in the world. Man, I can't believe you. What? You cannot believe that I'm standing up and protecting myself? This shit is so important. And then don't let you just be in a relationship or marriage or something where, boom, it just hits you out of nowhere. You get this clarity. Whole time you realizing, like, this person, out of all these years, haven't changed. They don't want to change. They haven't healed. They don't want to face nothing. And it's like, you have to speak up eventually. You have to be honest. Because in your accountability of your role, we're some of us are taught to, and this is what I had to break the cycle of. When I say I was done carrying other people's shit, I was done carrying their excuses on how they treated me and disrespected me. A lot of the women I grew up with, they was very disrespectful. Overly sexualized. It's like, it's calling out the shit y'all have to realize that you have to put it down, unpack it. I'm telling you, we ain't angry enough. That shit has been suppressed so long. We ain't angry enough. Man, what's that saying go? You teach people how to love you. Okay, so who taught us? In that, who taught us how to love? This shit supposed to be triggering. No, we have had some mothers and fathers make so many fucking excuses. And then when you get to a place of learning more about yourself and wanting to protect that newer version or that inner child, you got the nerve to be mad. You got the nerve to be angry at something you had the ability to do as well. Now here I am having to learn this shit, having to parent myself, having to balance out this shit to realize, like, I wish I had known this before I had children type shit. But that's what the cycle is, because I had to. Because you did the same shit. And that's funny. You had the same behavior pattern. But you quick to blame the mother and the child, or the mother or the father for something. But this is, bro, it be so crazy how people will move on from something and quick to say it's the other person and don't realize, what were your ways? Where is your accountability? Because everything ain't the other person. Everything ain't the other person. That's something I had to realize. And that's another thing growing up without my biological father being present. You know, that shit'll be a resentment, especially if you were abused or neglected and so forth young. And you will learn this as if this is how this is how I'm supposed to be treated by men. And also, this is how I'm supposed to be treated by women. Man, can you not realize a mental disorder in that shit? We think, oh, this is how I'm supposed to be treated. I'm going to let them just walk all over me and do all this and say whatever. No, absolutely not. I had to learn over time to where if you could have went away this amount of years and felt like communication or your son, your children was not of that importance, but you had the ability to lay down and do that, man, folks, bro, I'm telling you, the father, everybody's vital. Did I turn this on or did? Everybody's vital. And it's no way we're gonna have fucking community until we start realizing and acknowledge how fucked up people were growing up. And still are. To the shit that they ignore. I had to tell my own mother, I do not trust you around my kids. If you think I ain't coming around, being around you with my children at any point. And I mean that in the sense of like, I know you ain't healed. I know you ain't did shit. I love you. I appreciate you. But you ain't ever gonna think you're gonna have the opportunity to treat my son or my daughter like you treated me. That's on everything. That's on everything. Nah. Man, that shit hit different, boy. Especially when you know, here it is, somebody out here alive and well and healthy. We make every excuse not to be there. There are things a woman offers, there are things a man offers. And I'm telling you, I will not keep a cycle going of this is where we have to get to, especially if you have children. Why would you want your child to end up not even in a situation like you, but not knowing or making some type of excuse for your father or your mother, you know, not knowing who you were in any way, shape, or form? Because I know everyone's situation different and so forth, but man, I look at it different. There should be more anger and frustration around. Like I get frustrated. I get clarity, like be frustrated with my own fucking shit. I used to be more geared towards like, oh, my mama did this, and had she not, how would I have known to be a cycle breaker? I'm over here thinking about the memories, the last talk we had, over here just acting like, man. Whew. I just feel like certain shit should light a fire up under your ass. I'm not saying forget about your life and enjoy it. In cycle breaking, there's also a reward in knowing that you have an opportunity to do not just better, but to be healthy for yourself and take a healthy approach in life. This shit ain't for the faint of heart. It ain't. Sometimes I wish I had this faster, this happened faster. Nah, man. This. Some of us as cycle breakers too. Man, what the fuck is that? A hawk? A falcon? That was a big ass bird. Some of us as cycle breakers too, I recognize this, is that if you have children by someone and so forth, really look at the patterns. I be saying this all the time. Look at the patterns of your family. Oh, that's a falcon. Woo, that bird was good. I'm infatuated with birds, especially the falcon. But I was sitting here reflecting like, damn, I ain't have nobody consistent show me the importance of financial literacy, structure, balance, a lot of stuff. And outside, I don't care about all that religious shit. That motherfucker ain't in my house. They're presently trying to teach me other stuff. Because, man, that shit's so dead in the war. I'm so tired of that shit. It hit different when someone has to be physically there. And you see them. I ain't even finna dive deep into that shit. Don't convince me. I gotta be the... Pray, Sky Daddy, look for someone that isn't fucking there. I ain't even sitting in front of me to, hey son, this what you should do. Man, let alone don't even look like me. What the fuck? Man, don't get me. Anywho, like, man, these cycle breakers is no joke. Cause it's still responsibility in that. It's still discipline in that. That's what I realized, like, with removing the father, a lot of that balance, again, mothers, they implement discipline, but a lot of that masculine energy that's naturally, we all hold masculine and feminine energy, but there's just, from my perspective, I feel some men, like, well, when you look at the core values of things, what their core values are, it's really going to determine the structures that they build for longevity. Because outside of all of this, my important thing about all of this is fucking character. Like I said, I am not perfect at all. I done did some fucked up shit. I done did some stuff that I am not proud of, but I be sitting here like, it's my ability to want to be better though. Like I said, from to be where I am to talk about what I'm talking about, you know, you have to big up yourself in the sense of celebrating your accomplishments through the journey that you are. I'm not talking about boasting in front of somebody else's face. I'm talking about the man, when I sit here and reflect on my whole life, I'm like, what? Relationships that could have took me down there, business opportunities that, again, when it comes to structure, when you've never seen nothing, sometimes your subconscious or your own fears will psych you the fuck out of something that could have changed your life. I've been there. You so used to what's familiar that you don't even want to build beyond something because it's called character development. It's called facing the real you. I'm telling you, man, this shit I've been getting so much clarity. I'm like, oh my God. I tell myself, it seems like it's so easy to go back to what's familiar. For me, no. When I say some people got the last straw, it's no fucking way, bro. No way. No way. No, man. When I started seeing the shit people value going on, I'm like, man, no wonder y'all stood at the same place. We didn't even have the same experiences. There's nobody in my family, men I know, when I look at them, you have to see, that doesn't make people, you know, man, everyone's valuable in the sense of source, the creator. But when I look at the men that are trying to progress beyond, like, the same behavior pattern, most of them had grew up around their mothers. And you know, so wow, we all were affected by these women. The same women who protected predators, the same women who most likely all of them had a lot of fair relationships, marriages, like seeing, and it's so wild, seeing my grandmother, because I don't think y'all know how deep this shit is. Mothers are important, but the balance of a father, especially a man who walks in integrity, and especially for me, I had to learn how to be now more of a natural protector for myself, because I was in unprotected places. And a lot of that goes back to a lot of single mother homes. This is not an attack on women. This is just, when you research this shit, it has a lot to do with the fact of a lot of shit happens in single parent homes, especially mothers, because of the fact of, and I'm telling you from experience, a lot of predatory shit happen. A lot of women are wounded. They're vulnerable. They go off what they feel instead of the logic and fact or the actuality. They so caught up in the fantasy of the man or having someone there and probably linked to a father wound, because again, when you look at emotional development, their sense of security and wanting better for themselves, you know, depending on where it's coming from, if it's a sense of character, like healthy wise, they will want to be in a healthy partnership or relationship. But being that they have that inability to go beyond that, or certain traumas and certain demographics, a lot of them choose, again, the pattern of unhealthy men. And I'm gonna tell you, I was one of those unhealthy men. Yep. And to be so fucking honest, and I've said this before, this is why people, men and women, prey on each other. Most likely we've been preyed on as children. So now we go up with this mindset, and that's how you're supposed to build a structure. Let me tell you what one of my greatest fear was, where I started to recognize, I wouldn't even just say it was my fear. Well, a subconscious fear, because it wasn't familiar to me, was a healthy woman. A woman with standards. A woman who either she grew up in a balanced or healthy home, and or she has done, let's say, healing or faced herself to get to that place where she wasn't going for that shit. She wasn't tolerated. Because once you get to that place, ain't no turning back. I dated all kind of women. But I started to realize, when I look at my core values, it wasn't somehow, some way, let's say, I'm going to tell you some real raw shit. This is what it goes on a lot with men, or especially if, you know, when shit start to shift and people don't realize, like, this is the pattern a lot of young boys don't go down. Especially who grew up in single mother homes. How could I say that? The world's twisted so much, right, to where you have women that come from a wholesome background. Both parents. I even got a person that comes up when I say this shit. This shit's so wild. Because it makes me reflect on the clarity. Both parents married, got bread, da-da-da-da-da. What you want to do with me? Especially at that time where I used to have like a lot of parties in my house, sleeping around with women, just doing when I reflect on this shit, my mama did not care at all. Anything for me to self-sabotage my life just so I could be in some type of unhealthy connection with her, or some type of enmeshment or incest of shit psychologically or mentally, it didn't matter. Because you know what it reflected? Her inability to have something stable herself, or even, it literally reminded her of what was unhealthy with her and men, to see her son go through the same shit. That's why I always knew that a healthy woman, a holistic woman, or a woman that's in tune with herself and aware, can pick up on the vibe, whatever it is, was always and will always be a threat to a mindset of a woman who is distorted. Same thing with men. I'm telling from experience. So before I get into the men thing, because I'm telling you, I used to see shit that way too. But I didn't even realize that was kind of like threatening to me. Because I was so familiar and so comfortable with almost masking or performative, especially when I knew nothing about healing, when I knew nothing about loving myself, when I knew nothing about holding space for myself emotionally. Oh, shit. Good girls or girls like that would pray, because the twisted aspect is that they would be thinking that they're supposed to be with a man that's unhealthy. You know, the bad guy, the guy that really, he can come off, that it goes back to that dope boy and drugs and shit. You gotta realize the narrative of unhealthy shit being pushed so much to where now you're seeing the shift in the mindset to be renewed through your mind, through your approach, through everything, the cleansing. To, of course, we live in two different worlds. Of course, you can't hold on to me no more, mama, sister, cousin, because I knew something deep within inside of me. Anything in that proximity that reminded them. I'm going to tell you what's so dangerous about people. They're not even just a poverty mindset, but a distorted way of seeing men and women or being in their shit so long. Oh my gosh. The dysfunctionality of certain family members, bruh. They will love to keep you a part of that. To keep you in that loop. Never breaking the cycle. Keep you in that loop of believing you're not supposed to be better for yourself. Because in your doing so, who the fuck you think you are? You better than us? Because you moved out the hood, or because you moved here, or because you going to therapy, or because you facing generational cycles and shit, and you got a little money now. It's always something to try to undermine, disrespect, devalue you, dehumanize you, because of their inability to connect to themselves, either on an emotional level, on an empathetic level, to which will put themselves not only in the place of you, but be able to hold space for them to someday realize that self-realization is to see how that shit has affected them and you. And then have the free will to change that. So I'm going to tell you, ladies, for a lot of us, especially men growing up in the culture, if you look at the last 50, 100 years, I will tell you to run from a dude like me. Stay clear. They ain't going to tell you that. I'm going to be the first to tell you, run. Run, baby. I have no idea of what it is to be financially stable. I have no ability, during those times, I had no discipline on being communicative, because I was healthy communicatively, because I'll self-sabotage that shit so fast before you even pull your pants back up type shit. That's how real this is. That's how y'all don't realize how deep cycle breaking is. Because anything in the psyche, or like to remind people I knew, they love when I come around. They love when I come around. They hate that healing shit. They hate that. Because it reflects a part of them that monitors your life, but want like you have the ability. Just don't want to. But yeah, I told her I don't feel shame to get around nothing, especially when I realize there are some people I can tell that when I start to look at patterns, where their inability to take accountability, which I'm glad I got out of. And then there were some moments where my inability to take accountability, which I'm pretty sure that they got out of. But I'm keeping up. Man, this shit's so wild, bro, to see how the fact of the self-realizations, the clarity, and so forth, and to build from that. Because the opposite of healing is the opposite, of everything what we're familiar with, what we're used to. Like I said, in any way, this is especially to men that have carried a mother wound or are unaware of their behavior patterns and shit like this. Man, I cannot convince people to get it. But once you start to realize, pay attention to even your cycles of how your life has progressed, or even you trying to convince that your life is thriving, man. If it ain't, your mind hasn't been renewed towards not only bettering yourself, but holding space for yourself, having more empathy for yourself, being a cycle breaker in some type of way. Because some of us want to believe, just because we're going out there working 10, 45, how many hours, but you're normally still in something where the person you are with is emotionally unavailable and not healthy for you. Man, I'm gonna be honest with you, that's not breaking the cycle. It's not. And we've been convinced of that because some of that shit is the same thing our mother, grandfather, and so forth. I'm telling y'all, when I look at the men, I have to look at the version of me who I was around them, what I idolized, what I was performing, driving with cousins who so dope in the middle of the dashboard, seeing them go to prison, seeing some of them still in prison with more kids than me. And I look at that with the fact of, man, just think if you didn't turn towards your gifts, your natural abilities, using that pain which you went through and sharing a message, your arts, your creativity, and so forth. And continue to do it. Instead of us saying, yo, that's fucked up what you did, or bro, what's going on? I ain't finna be around you no more, type shit. It is what it is. Nah, that's cycle breaking. Whether you say it or not, I don't want to be around it. Because I recognize what those things, from a man's perspective, I know all too well what those generations of women who have been single mothers and how all that shit was built. Man, it was when you talking about removing the father, and I'm a father now, seeing the importance of how women are easily preyed on. Even my stature, knowing how easy it is for a man to grab a woman and knowing that she's not physically stronger than me. Man, this shit right here, boy, I'm so glad it's collapsing, because it's going to force people to realize, whether they want to hold on to it or not, like, boy, how much of a illusion was cast upon your ass. How much they really have bought you into believing the importance of men not being there. We not needing each other. We man, what? Aren't you tired of that single parent shit? And I know for some people it's just, well, this is what happened, this and this. Man, a lot of shit y'all ain't faced has nothing to do with that man. I say this to y'all because from a place of love and empathy, when I start to realize, when I know for a fact that most of the shit that has happened to a lot of the women in my family has come from women who didn't have a man around. Whatever they got into, whatever they did to push men away, it's like it literally trickled down to the daughter, to where they pushed her out, didn't care about her well-being, because, you know, a lot of them ain't gonna say shit because they can relate, but they won't protect it. You hear what I said? They can relate to it when something happened, because that's that inner child, that's that little girl inside of them that can relate. But whatever inability for them to not to really like connect deeply and have empathy, they won't feel the need to protect you as their daughter. And especially like the man being in the home is so deep. Shout out to Love Doris. She was talking about this, how the importance of, you think a lot of men gonna try to prey on little girls or, you know, go inside of shit like that, even knowing that it's gonna be more difficult and challenging? That's some real shit. Because they know most men, depending on who they are, oh, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. That's how I don't see how y'all don't see the beauty and the spiritual aspect of the little girl mirroring back to the woman. That's the cycles we breaking. When I tell y'all, break down this shit on the royal energy aspect, the daughter, the energy of the daughter, the princess energy, mother, son, father, daughter. The daughter is reclaiming her crown, like her throne. Meaning that energetic aspect of her that was not protected, not just physically, but the spiritual aspect of that. That's what's being restored and recovered. Like, I love Dorsey breakdown, but she's still like, it's still amazing because the clarity, the awareness I get around it, even my own shit, seeing how the cycles I'm truly breaking and changing, because in that, not seeing those men healthy, you either can be encouraged to be better, which will have you looking at the little boy inside of you who is not nurtured and protected by the mother. Most importantly, that man not being there and giving you structure. How the fuck could that not inspire you to be better, bro? It ain't gonna happen overnight. I'm telling you from experience. It ain't just about you being there physically for your child. It's the fact of, like, you know, us going on a deeper level. I had to learn through the process of being emotionally abandoned, having emotionally unavailable women, to realize the importance of how I had to get back to compassion, how I had to get back to empathy, because I lost my identity. That's what a lot of men do. That's why they over-sexualize. That's why they overly sensitive, hypersensitive. It's because their development, I'm telling you personally, their development through their character development from childhood development, they gain a perspective, most likely. That's why they numb. That's why they want to pretend and perform like they tough and numb. And in reality, you just had an emotionally unavailable mother or woman in your family who never holds space to hold you. You probably were beaten, you probably were whooped, whatever it is, you probably was bullied and so forth. And so you didn't get that form of structure and protection spiritually, emotionally, and so forth. That has a part of your outward character being developed, that being more mirrored back from the father, structure and shit. Man. So with that now, in your repressing of that feminine archetype, that emotion, that energy that you try to portray so much, and what happens a lot is that you see a lot of men get around a lot of men that have a lot of material shit, or because the world has viewed them as, or put the man materialistically on a pedestal, like he's this almost like God-like aspect or idolized, and in reality, what's all gonna be exposed, like I keep telling y'all, when you looking at cycles and generational patterns and ancestral, when they're not, those material men y'all so idolizing are not acknowledging the importance of the mothers, what they went through, having empathy for them and their daughters and their children, that says a lot about their fucking character. And what they've so-called built is collapsing, is going to collapse because their character development through stepping on women, abusing, womanizing, and so shit, I'm telling you from experience. What makes you think that's going to last long? That's learned behavior. You learn that from who? Huh? And what makes you think that's going to continue? As our mothers, women start to heal. As our daughters are more protected. Because as our mothers start to protect and be mindful of themselves, and men that step in to see the importance of that shit, then guess what? All of what you have built as men who are distorted in your patriarchal approach and all that abuse of power shit, that shit crumbles. And I'm here to make sure of it. Because I had to go through it to recognize the shit. I don't want to say too many words on here because I don't know if YouTube flagged the shit. I really don't give a fuck. But in all actuality, it's like, it is some weak ass shit. And when I mean some weak ass shit, it's weak. It's weak in the sense of not only are you weak, it shows your weakness. It's going to keep showing people's weakness. And it's going to show you the weak ass foundation. I'm holding everybody accountable because I had to hold me accountable. Women and men. Especially the women who enable and still enable these fucking cowards and weakness. I don't want to be protected. I can call my own self out. Because there ain't nothing to protect in the sense. Why would I want someone to protect things, shit that I know that I didn't, I know I've wronged, not even someone, wronged or know I had fucked up way. I don't want you to protect that. Hold me the fuck accountable because I'm going to hold me accountable. Hold me accountable, but also be mindful to hold space for me when I didn't know any better. Because that's what it is. That's not everybody though, but I'm saying, not only when we go through this, it's like to see people be like, we so easy, oh, look at that, rah, 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 rah. And empathy and learning and coming at someone, we still got to remind ourselves that we ain't no more better than them. We may make better decisions now, conscious decisions, but we are no more or less valuable. Y'all gonna start to see how weak motherfuckers' foundations is within character development, integrity, authenticity, and so forth. That shit gonna hold you accountable. Once you start being real with you, when you start looking at that mirror and start to realize, man, what the fuck? And for some people, it's going to be a little too late. That's how I feel about right now with my whole experience with people. I had to come into this awareness and realize, like, a lot of people that were removed, I would have never came into this awareness had I not been the one who wanted to break the same cycle of being in certain shit that was familiar. Again, a lot of people are just around in survival mode because of what's familiar to their psyche, to their subconscious. Ego. Ain't nothing but feeding their ego. And seeking competition with their children. Ego. Ego and pride has been held to a higher standard over integrity and love and honesty, shit like that. So why I ain't surprised why shit collapsed, because I started being honest with myself. That was fucked up. You know what? That's cool. Then I had to be like, earlier I had to apologize to myself. Because I was listening to something, I had to apologize to myself. Like, damn. why you doing that? But then you didn't know no better. So you apologize to myself because, you know, that's what the empathy I start to have for myself. Then I'm able to have it for other people. Man, y'all, woo. That's why I also realizing developing higher standards or going deep within myself, going back to that spiritual aspect of the royal energy, break it down, like the reclaiming of this princess energy, that earth energy, that groundedness, being emotionally stable. Because what Sister Myra was saying that the princess or that spiritual energy that the daughter represents is Capricorn. I have to look more into that, but that's very significant how energy unfolds, and then with the zodiac, because if that's correct, the mother would she would represent the Cancerian energy, because that's the water element, everything beginning with the emotions. So what is the son? The son has to be Leo. That's what it is. And the father has to be, I want to say, is it Merc? No, that's Merc. No, is it Saturn? No. What sign does the father represent? It has to be an air element. Because they all, you got water, earth, fire, and air. I want to say the father represents either one of those air signs, or if not all of them. No, if not, that makes a lot of sense. So the mother energy, that's interesting, would be a representation of Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. That makes a lot of sense, though. I may be just receiving this right now. If you look at the zodiac, the energy that it holds or what they represent, that makes a lot of sense. The royal aspect of that, because if the daughter energy represents Earth, then everything in that, the groundedness in that. Oh, okay. Y'all gotta realize like this. So the daughter would represent Capricorn. This is my perspective. I believe she said it was just Capricorn, but I can see the representation of all earth signs, which is Capricorn, Taurus. What is the other earth sign? Is it Virgo? Yeah, Virgo. And because Virgo is that practicality. Taurus is values. Capricorn is represented like, it's ancestral though, because Capricorn mirrors Cancer. They're polar opposites. Okay. And the father will represent all things dealing in the spirit, meaning like communication aspect, spiritually, like through the spirit realm. Because mama is represented, as Sister Myra was speaking, and spoke about on the soul level. That's the higher realms. And with that, she represents the water. All things water. Memory. Pisces rules the dream state. Memories. Ancestral. Generational. Intergenerational. Scorpio is the intuitive, intuition, the waters, the depths of who we are. Cancer is the ancestral waters, or things that link us to mother, matriarchal. This is amazing. Then Leo, Sagittarius, and why is it always Leo, Sagittarius? What is the other fire sign? Leo, Sagittarius. What is the other fire sign? fire sign. Leo, Sag. Is it 3 fire signs? What is a fire sign? Leo, Sag. Oh my gosh. What is a fire sign? Sheesh. I know Leo rules the heart. Symbolism in the heart. What's in the heart? Sag is it's like the true seeker, the philosopher. There's more to that. Transformation, though, illumination, all these. What is the other fire sign? This is unbelievable that it's not coming to me right now. But you know. The reason I'm saying this is because I'm just seeing the elemental aspect and the spiritual, the metaphysical aspect to all of this. Again, when you see how mother holds memory, water, our emotional resonance, and then for a lot of you realizing, like, when you see the symbolism in those signs, Pisces ruling the dream state, Scorpio is like the depths of who we are, transformation through emotions, and Cancer, what connects us to the waters, to the memory, ancestrally, to the mother, to home within ourselves, because that's the disconnect. When you look at mother, son, father, daughter, that's where we're linking, and what's being restored is that connection from the daughter to the father to the son, and then the son to the mother. So that almost like it's almost like this is going to happen through recycles or reconciliation. I'm getting reconnecting to those waters of mama. That's why, again, the highlight around like this accountability from the matriarchal that has to happen is those things that they are intuitively picking up on, transformation through emotions, their dream state, ancestral things, connection, and coming home to themselves. In that coming home, you learn to be more grounded, because that little girl, that daughter aspect is what your mother pushed away. What she, for some of y'all, she just pushed you away. So now you're trying to find this grounded approach logically, and performatively through your relationship. Now, as with a son or boy, depending on if he's smothered by his mother or not, that's how he becomes, because again, mama's the water. So look at what the water represents. Emotions, emotional transformation, the depths. If she's projecting and, basically pouring into him all this hypersensitivity, and there's never no balance there with the father, then he's going to be more emotional, hypersensitive, rather than balancing his logical and feminine, logical and practical. Is it practical, logical? No, logical and emotional, or feminine and masculine aspect of who he is. And that's simply because the father's not there, because the father represents that air element spiritually. And so now, when you don't have this balance, not just spiritually, but emotionally, mentally, everyone plays a role. A lot of that representation I just broke down has a lot to do with royal energy, like in a metaphysical aspect, like the spiritual aspect of it. All of it is significant to energetic, like how things are being restored. As in, mothers come home to themselves, they have to come home to the memories of that which connect them to their mother. And or if they have a daughter or not, they still have to come home to themselves that reflects their daughter, which truly reflects their inner child or their little girl within inside them. And what that highlights, again, the memories of the water, emotions, will bring up that uncomfortability, those things that have been suppressed, silent, for so long. And how that could, cause how a woman and man view the world differently. Just as a little girl and a little boy views the world differently. The balance of a lot of things that's being restored is for men in their coming home. They're also going to be reminded. Because again, their protection, their viewpoint, again, when men being ruled by the Mars aspect of sex, is it admiration, assurity, respect, sex, and it's something else. But the reason why the sex thing is so important is because naturally what a little boy does that's hypersensitive, that's overly emotional, or don't have a sense of balance and stability within himself, he's going to naturally be gravitated towards a little girl or into adulthood, because women pull and men push. So what do you have when you push and pull? When you don't have a healthy aspect or stable aspect of how you view sex, if you don't see it sacredly or sensual, then you're going to push in every woman. You're going to forcefully, you're going to do it in such a way that is aggressive, an unhealthy way. It's, again, unhealthy approach. That's why so much of the culture before would lead with sex. That's why so much it was pushed on that. That's why you have so many women who, I tell y'all, if she had a healthy father there in the approach on how to teach her how to sacredly guard her womb or to protect herself. And again, I know some women have been through things where, I apologize to the depths of me that you had to experience, whether you were a child or even into your teenager adult, that you had to encounter a predator, encounter someone who was not healthy. And what that did, when you look at the memories of if you became a mother, but you holding that motherly energy, in that you still carried in the memories of the emotions, because our bodies are made up of mostly water, but in that experience, traumatic experience, no matter how much you have told yourself, and I mean this in a way of like, how much you told yourself, if you really haven't cleansed your wound space or healed or actually acknowledged it, and you went into cycles or a loop of developing a mindset around over-sexualizing yourself or opening yourself up to anyone, exposing you. By that exposure, you went down a path of not knowing how to protect yourself even more, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and so forth. So that became cycles of allowing any man in without any sense of boundaries or structure. Because that's the importance of why the father aspect is so significant. Not just physically of the protector, but he provides you with information logically from a healthy space of you remember planting seeds. See, mama emotion, her seeds are within through that development of emotion, their emotional identity. What type of emotional identity do we have towards ourselves? Is it stable or is it unstable? So therefore, a father, in his way of providing and protecting, is that in a form of a healthy approach, a holistic approach, an honest approach. Even though you may not like it, still planting a seed. Because when you're younger, your inability at that time as a daughter, because you're still developing your emotions, you may not like the structure, but he's planting the seed logically. So therefore, you develop that as you grow, and it becomes a balance. It becomes the discipline for your outlook on life, how you your perspective, your perception on the world, the men. Because naturally, spiritually, you're going to hold on to the memory of what you saw. It ain't so much as people can say stuff, but actions. And that's why men are ruled by actions. Like, well, we all have, masculine attributes, but some people carry more than others. But that action towards how he has treated women, especially if a man wasn't there completely. Let's be honest with our fucking self. We're going to develop some type of imbalance. We're not going to have successful relationships or holistic or balanced one, because we never not only seen it. So that's why you can have people go off feeling instead of the actual logic and practicality of balancing and using your mind. Something with the structure and your approach. It's just like men who didn't have, such as myself, I had to learn. When you're seeking out, when you're trying to find home in a woman, it's because you didn't have home within yourself. That's just being real, because naturally we gravitate towards, how men want peace. It's because we try to gravitate towards anything that's closest to peace. But we get distracted by external. And sometimes with the surface shit, if we haven't developed any type of core values centered around emotional stability, we'll get caught up in the women who just parade themselves, over sexualizing or, in such a lustful way, and get caught up in that. Then come to find out they have no emotional depth. They got things internally that they still dealing with, unresolved and so forth. So now here you got people, he not this, she not that, she not this. Now you got kids involved and not seeing the bigger picture on they coming to show you, which pretty much is a reflection of all your shit you manifested in a little boy or girl. Now you got a responsibility, even more. And so when you talk about not having the emotional depth, and especially for men who have not had knowing to have a mother or matriarchal figure to support him in stabilizing his emotions very young, he won't know how to navigate through that shit in a relationship. Not only with himself, but he won't know the importance of when things change, when unexpected things arrive, or, things that we haven't learned young. And so what ends up happening again, you're just seeing loops and cycles of learned behavior, typically from intergenerational trauma or something that has been passed on. And so now again, it's on us. Those who are willing to be like, fuck this, I'm done with this, I'm done with that. I'm not going for this. Whether you're my mother, whether partner, spouse, whatever you want to call it. I'm not going for this. Because that's what a cycle breaker going, I'm not going for this. And you're going to hold yourself accountable too. I ain't going for this. Something better got to happen. And so, what else I was getting on to? So when a lot of those young men that grow up, and again, due to the fact of the mother, most likely they did grow up in a single parent home or a mother. And I tell you about statistics, it's facts. The effects it truly has on how a child goes out into the world. It's not to take away from the mother, it's the facts over feelings. It's the importance of seeing how we need each other, and or be healthy for ourselves so we can be healthy for our children. So again, what happens with a lot of men, especially young that grow up, they don't care about the emotional stability in a woman. They trying to find a peace, especially if they dealt with some bullshit growing up. They trying to find any way, shape, or form. How could I get away from my mother? They'll never say that, but I'm telling you, that I'll be the first one to say it. They, in any way, if they especially been scapegoated, baby girl, the last thing he want is for you to try to scapegoat through him. Or use him as a scapegoat. in the fact of your relationship not um you know, being stable, or something happens, which you have people quick to blame each other, but not take accountability of your behavior patterns, your learned behavior patterns, on why this happens, and do I even have the ability to hold emotions for myself? Can I even reciprocate this shit? And so, yeah. Other than that, it's like, it's not about feeling shame and guilt around it. It's no longer carrying it. You know, whether you have children or not, it's the beauty in the maturity, the evolution, and getting to that place. It's a process. But yeah, that's what typically, like, when I hear, again, it looks different from a man and woman when they grow. The boy is truly seeking this emotional stability, or whether he knows it or not, he's unconsciously relating his emotional unstableness, or, you know, could possibly connect it to women that he's dealing with because of what's familiar. I'm not saying that's always the case, because sometimes, again, men can get in stuff, we all can get in stuff where it's the opposite of that, where you have women who are looking for a provider and protector, or have this unrealistic aspect of what the world has told them about men having six figures, having this together, and so forth. That is important when it comes to the stabilizing, or him being stable with certain things. At the same moment, there's other things that are vital to that too, that, again, that it don't matter what you have. It's always gonna, beyond the surface, connect to emotional availability, emotional stability, emotional, you know, because on a deeper level, that's where everything begins. That's how we have learned, and what we've learned, whether in our womb of our mother or outside. Like, this is the process. And so it's going to mirror back through you both, through situations that come up, life, through journey. Who's going to be able to navigate through this? Who's going to be able to, you know, you see it all the time, where the emotional immaturity of a lot of people, where they shut down. And, you know, that typically happens with a lot of men, young boys, who have never seen a man healthily operate his emotions, or have a balance between that, you know, that structure, and, you know, between the emotions and logic, and, you know, being practical about things. What else? And, you know, that's important. And it's the same thing for women. It don't matter how big her ass is. It don't matter how much she show on social media and so forth. You know, I remember growing up at a point in time, you had to get magazines. You had to sneak. You know, a lot of shit was not accessible as it was. The reason why that is so almost like dangerous, even distracting, is because the importance of how stabilizing it is for a mother and father. Because being logical and practical teaches you discipline, self-discipline, then discipline being in the home. That father, the mother, you know, these things balance each other out. They mirror each other back. And that's just certain things that a woman can do that a man cannot. There's certain things a man can do that a woman cannot. And when you have those role reverse, where you have have young boys that grow into manhood that's being overly emotional, or doing things that women would typically do most of the time, because they never had structure, they never had men to come be in there to tell them, like, hey, all right, you can cry and all like this, homeboy, but life goes on. And so we had to deal with men. Like, I had to learn this, like, to parent myself, and learn how to take constructive criticism, or receive, you know, those things from men who were at a space where they were healthy, who got to a place that they could honor both their feminine and masculine attributes. That's not always the case for a lot of people, but there's still no excuses on being better for yourself. And again, like I said, this is the things that are probably being highlighted right now with a lot of people wherever they are on their journey, is the importance of realizing, like, the accountability is realizing, like, you know, like, okay, this is what it is now, this is what it ain't gonna be, but moving forward, this is what it's gonna be. And that's a part of blossoming and becoming. I feel like that's all I wanted to cover. Other than that, what was I talking about? The little girl, how women, the viewpoint on women and men. Yeah, so like again, when these men are seeking these things, a part of them, depending on their perspective or how they view women, is gonna subconsciously play out. And it's the same thing, like I said, for women. It's like there's, how at a point in time, like, having access to things wasn't so prominent, and where there isn't discipline and shit, it's gonna eventually show. It's gonna eventually expose itself. And that's been one of the biggest things I've been learning, because for men, it can be taught differently if a woman's not telling him the importance of, and or a man teaching him the importance of, sex. How, you can hear it from a woman, but then you can hear it from a man. A lot of things are different. It just hits different, especially as a man telling a young boy, like, okay, you know what you got down there. You're not the same as a little girl. A little girl is completely different. And even with that, it's just like we're naturally going to view the world differently. And so from all of this, like, give yourself grace, man. Ain't nobody got it all figured out. We know what we're going towards, what we're building up on, expanding and moving towards. Just keep loving on yourself. I'm realizing, like, it's a day-to-day thing. Shit, even the stuff I said today, I almost feel like whatever I cleared, it's like, dang. It's like it seems like a fresh start, and it is. Like, I don't have it all figured out, but I realize, like, I know what's to come from, the rewards of being a cycle breaker, or changing, walking away from things that no longer serve me, choosing better, being better. That is a beautiful thing, and that's kind of what I want to cover. So y'all take care of yourself. Peace and blessings. Shalom.